Welcome to the Leadership Lab. I'm Karen Reardon, and each week I sit down with leaders and business owners who are figuring it out just like the rest of us, sharing their stories behind change and growth. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by Toby Maguire. Toby, so good to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Karen. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Now, Toby, you've been a coach for many years now. Can you share a little bit about your journey, how you got started in it, and where you are today?
Yes, well, my journey actually began with meditation many years ago. I was actually in my late teens, early 20s. I got a taste for meditation, and then it took me on a long journey where I ended up moving to Thailand, and I started really the coaching probably about when I was in my mid 30s, which was about 20 years ago. And I started coaching actually at wellness resorts. So my career eventually led me into working at wellness resorts all over the world, and that's where I originally met a lot of my clients. And I realized there was a lot of people struggling to manage stress, and people just didn't know how to handle it. So that's where all my coaching began. I started doing some training courses. I started running some workshops, some retreats on managing stress. And eventually it built into me studying my for my ICF, my leadership skills. And also I studied with Institute of Zen Leadership over in the US as well. And so I've got a combination of both leadership skills and meditation. I'm also a hypnotherapist. So I help people on a number of different levels, particularly people who are struggling with stress and going through a bit of a midlife crisis with their business as well.
I love hearing how that came about for you. What does your life look like for right now in this season of your business?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of things. I've got my own business. I'm in Thailand. I live in Phuket. So I work at some resorts around the local area. So I managed to get some clients from there. But I also have an online business as well. Now, the online business, I'll be honest with you, I really only set it up during COVID because obviously you can imagine having worked at all these health and wellness resorts overnight, my business just died. I lost everything, you know, as did many other people. So I tried to put my business online then, and I really struggle with it because there's so many people out there. And then I ended up, when things opened up, I went back to working in the resorts, but I also decided from that moment on, I was going to start doing my online work as well. And so over the last few years, I've slowly been building it up. I've made a lot of mistakes, which I'm happy to tell people about, some of them quite costly. But eventually, I've managed to get myself into a place where the ball is rolling, business is starting to come in now, and things are beginning to look out. But it's been a lot of trial and error.
What was the biggest challenge you found in moving into that online space?
Well, it's basically that you could be the best coach in the world, the best coach in the world, but if you don't have marketing skills, you don't understand social media, you're going to get nowhere. And that's what I really struggle with. I don't particularly like talking on camera. I mean, I'm fine doing podcasts and things, but as soon as I was putting myself in the camera, as soon as I started talking, I get tongue-tied. I wouldn't be able to speak. I was embarrassed. And that took quite a while for me to get over that. I'm better at it now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not brilliant, but I'm okay. But it also like you've got to learn how to do your social media skills because if you don't know that, you're going to get nowhere. So that was the biggest challenge. I think as leadership coaches, you've also got to be a bit of an entrepreneur as well to know how to work through these things. So yeah, that's taken a lot of trial and error, but like I said, I'm kind of getting there now.
That's amazing. So, are you still working in the leadership space these days?
Absolutely, very much so. So I'm more of a conscious leadership coach now. So I not only do I work as a leadership coach, but I also teach people how to understand their mind so that they can work with it rather than fight against it. So I've got a 35-year background in meditation and Eastern philosophy, and a lot of that I incorporate into my coaching as well.
That's amazing. Going into that online space, it's very challenging. Obviously, you've come through the other side. Things are looking good. How did that experience shape you in the way you lead or how you make decisions today, especially as a small business owner?
It's taught me two things. Um, the first one is structure. You've got to have some sort of structure in place with your business. If you've got no structure there, then you're just throwing things out there on social media and you're not going to get anywhere. The other thing is discipline. You've got to be disciplined and you've got to make sure you turn up every day and keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you've got to learn by your mistakes. And believe me, I've made a lot of mistakes. So it's taken me a while to figure that out. And there's still a lot of tweaking. I think it's a continual tweaking process because, of course, like social media is constantly changing, the algorithms are changing as well. And if we don't learn to keep up with it, things like AI, I mean, that wasn't really around a few years ago during COVID. Now we've got AI to compete with as well. You've got to be also very flexible in your approach. What was working last week doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work next week. So there's that constant adaptation to new technology that's coming in as well. And so yeah, so really being flexible in your ideas too, I think is important, and recognizing when things aren't working and when to change and when to kind of give certain things up.
Letting go of certain ideas or methods.
That's it. Yeah, letting go of certain ideas because you've got to think like, is this working for me or not? Because some people, and I've made this mistake as well. It's like banging your head against a brick wall. You're trying something and trying something, and you'll think, but if I keep sticking to it, eventually it's going to work. But eventually you've got to say, hold on, no, this isn't working. I'm trying. Okay, what can I change? What can I adapt now? How can I do this differently? And experiment a lot. Find out what works for you. Obviously, go on lots of courses. I've done quite a few courses. I've done courses about LinkedIn. I've done other courses about Instagram, Facebook, um, all sorts of different things. So yeah, I think the other thing is to keep learning. Because if you just think, oh, if I keep doing it my own way, eventually it will work, it won't. I think you really need to take on as much information as you can. But also, the other mistake that I've made, Karen, is paying people to do things for me who have given out with, oh, I promise we're going to get you so and so amount of clients. And I get these emails and messages from people almost every day, either via LinkedIn. And at first I was like, oh, this is going to be great. They're going to help me. But a lot of them, they don't. They really don't. So you've got to be very careful about who you pick and choose.
For sure, for sure. You mentioned obviously you're doing a lot of learning, you're taking a lot of information out. How do you balance that with, running the business and not getting into overwhelm? You need this information, you need to learn, but there's this balancing act that goes on. How do you manage that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there are times I must admit I've nearly thought I've had enough. I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore because it really does try and test you. I think the balance is knowing that everything that's thrown in your path is a learning process. It's there to teach you how to take you up to the next level. It's very easy when you've failed many, many times just to give up. As Thomas Edison said, I haven't failed how to make a light bulb. I've learned 1,000 ways that don't work. And I think it's the same with us. We've got to keep going and have faith that eventually things will work out and everything is a learning process. And I think if you've got that attitude, then you can overcome the hurdles and not feel too overwhelmed by things. And also sometimes it's good to take a step back and think there's been times I've taken a few weeks out or a month off. Things haven't been working out. Okay, stop. Let me just take a step back there. Let me start to think differently. What could I do differently? What little bits of research can I do? And just continually moving forward, no matter what setbacks come on, just keep moving forward all of the time.
I agree. I think it is, having that healthy attitude, the ability to take a step back and have a bit of perspective, right? And give yourself time to think a little bit. If someone was starting out where you were a few years ago, what kind of advice would you give to them today?
First thing is be very clear about what their message is and who their audience are. That's the most important thing because I've found, and this is again something I've learned over the years, you've got to niche down. You've got to niche down. And you've got to know what makes you different from everybody else. Because there's so many people who are doing their leadership coaching or their business coaching, and they're coming out and the market's saturated. It really, really is. There's so many people out there. And it's really important to think, well, okay, well, who should my ideal clients be? What kind of age group are they? What kind of careers are they doing? Maybe even looking a little bit into your background, and also maybe into your own age group. Yeah, well, like that might be relevant as well. You know, people who are in their 50s and 60s probably don't want to get coached by a 30-year-old who's just finished their coaching course. But then there's these young tech guys who you probably could relate to a lot more. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing. First, start off with there. Start off with a game plan. No, you've got to be in this for the long run. Don't expect it to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of time, trial and error, and also learn as much as you can about social media marketing. And then just the next thing to do is just do it. Just start, just do it. Make those mistakes and learn by each and every one of them.
Yeah, that's sound advice for sure. If you could wave a magic wand over your business right now, what's one thing that you would fix or simplify?
I would like to get it to a place. So I have a virtual assistant who helps me. I would really like to get it to a place that I could give her more responsibility so that when I am focusing more on the coaching side of things, she can focus more on the marketing side of things. She does a great job. She's fantastic. We've been working with each other for about a year now, a year and a half, but there's still things that I want to hand over to her. So with my background, as I mentioned, so because I've got like 35 years experience in meditation and Eastern philosophy, that's not something you can pass on to somebody in a space of a year. Now, fortunately, the virtual assistant that I chose to work with also does have a background she's got a master's in psychology, which is fantastic. And not only that, but she's great at the social media. You know, whatever I ask her to do, she can do it. She's amazing. So yeah, long term, I want her to be able to pass a lot more of the business over to her on the technical and the back end of things and focus more on the coaching myself.
That's amazing. And are you looking to grow your online presence? Is that something that's you're working on as well?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I've still got, I'm doing okay now. I would say I'm happy with where things are, but there's a long way forward that I want to take the business still. There's still a lot more that I need to achieve. And I know it's going to happen, but it's just going to take some perseverance. But even now, Karen, I'm still learning. I'm still finding things that making little tweaks here and there, still making little adjustments to my message, still thinking about my offers as well. So one of the things that I've realized is, and I'm sure this is something that you come across as well, you can't just have the one offer. You can't just have the, I'm a business coach. I'll do 10 sessions and this is how much I charge. Yeah. So now I've got a couple of books out. I've got a book on meditation. I've got a book on journaling, meditation and journaling. I'm working on a book on conscious leadership at the moment. So I'm trying to figure out different ways in which I can present different packages to people because not only one package doesn't fit all, you've got to take into consideration other people's budgets as well. So not everybody can perhaps afford to have 10 sessions with me. Maybe they need 3 sessions or 4 sessions. Maybe they just need to start to get going. And maybe with the help of some of the books that I've done, they can buy one of the books and that will help them cut down on the amount of sessions that they have with me. So yeah, offering various different packages, I think is important because like I said, lots of different people out there. Not everybody wants the same thing.
Right, right. No, I think that's a wise approach. Like you said, it's not a one size fits all type of solution, and to be able to offer at different levels to different people is important. So clearly, you've come a long way over your 35 years. What's one thing that's really lighting you up now?
What's lighting me up? So, about a year and a half ago, I discovered something called the Institute of Zen Leadership. So, I have always wanted to incorporate the meditation and Eastern philosophy into leadership because I think, you don't mind me saying, all of the problems in the world are caused by unconscious leadership, whether it's politicians, whether it's business owners. There's so much going on in the world right now that people just a lack of self-awareness is causing the whole of humanity to go in a very, very dark direction. And I just think if people were just a bit more conscious, a bit more aware, then we could change a lot of that. So I've always wanted to incorporate the teachings of Eastern philosophy into my coaching. And so I was about a year and a half ago, I was thinking, now what can I call it? And I put into Google Zen Leadership, and all of a sudden the Institute of Zen Leadership came up. And what's it doing? It's teaching business leaders how to incorporate Eastern philosophy and meditation into the corporate environment. I'm like, I can't believe this. This is exactly what I've been looking for. So I've been working a lot with them. I've done a lot of training with them. There's a lot of, I realized that we're a lot of synchronicity between my plans for the future and what they're doing. So at the moment, I'm planning on working with them and opening up corporate retreats worldwide. I'm lucky enough to be working in Phuket, where I've got a lot of contacts in the hotels and resorts there. And the aim is to bring leaders together and run these workshops for them. It might be a group of different leaders. It might be a company who sends their leaders over here. And rather than them having a bit of a boozy knees up, let's take them to a different place and teach them about health and well-being and how to optimize their minds, how to understand their minds so that they can work with it rather than fight against it. So that's where I'm heading at the moment. And it's nice to feel that I've got support from all of these other people who have got the same vision as me. So I've always been, it's a struggle working alone, but when you've got a group, a team with you as well, all of a sudden it inspires you, ideas to bounce off of other people. So this has really excited me and it's taken my vision to a different level.
That does sound really exciting. So, what kind of impact, once you get this going, what kind of impact do you want to have? What kind of impact do you think this will have in the world once you start implementing and teaching and coaching?
So for different reasons. First of all, it's really to help business leaders. Once they can understand their own minds, then they can understand the minds of other people. So it really helps with things like communication. Also, it's also very much about what is the long-term goals with regard to sustainability. What's the goal for humanity? Are you working for humanity? Are you working against humanity? Or are you kind of there in the middle? Are you neutral? Yeah. Because when people are working for a cause much larger than themselves, it gives them that enthusiasm and excitement and motivation to work for it that you will not get in any other line of work. In other words, if you're working for a company that's helping to create machinery or something that's going to help get rid of the plastics in the oceans, for example, you're going to have people who are going to give their heart and soul into it as long as they are led in the right way. They always have to lead by example. If the leader is a conscious leader and he is inspiring and he can share that vision with his people, then they're going to do everything that they can to make that their priority in life. They've got a reason to live. Whereas if it's a tobacco company, for example, yeah, well, how is that exactly helping humanity? It's doing the opposite. It's taking it into the opposite direction. And in which case, when people are working for companies like that, what's their motivation? It's money. Yeah. And when it's only money is involved, it's a lot of the time, it's not what can I do for the company? It's what's in it for me. And that's a very, very different attitude people are going to be taking to work every morning. So that's what I want to change.
That's a big goal, and what a worthy goal and challenge to chase. And kudos for you for doing that. As we wrap up, I'd love to leave listeners with like one takeaway. What's one piece of advice that you would give to leaders who are navigating change now?
Follow your heart. Follow your heart. We spend too much time following our heads. We are socially conditioned to think in a certain way. And especially when people get to the age of about 40, everything in their life has changed. Their priorities change. Their perspective on reality has changed. You know, they've grown, maybe they've got families, they think in different ways. But because they're stuck in that old conditioning, they find it very, very hard to change. And therefore, quite often it leads to what they refer to as a midlife crisis. It's not a midlife crisis. It's a beautiful transformation. If they listen to what's going on inside, they realize that this is a time for change. This is a time to evolve. Then that's going to take them for the next 20 or 30 years into a line of work that's going to give them more happiness and fulfillment than they could possibly imagine. I think that's the problem, is people get stuck thinking, oh God, I've been doing this job for the last 30 or 40 years. I'm going into work every day, can't stand it, but that's all I know and I've got to keep plodding away at it. And that's what I think people really need to do, listen to their heart. Because we're driven by our emotions, not our logical, rational reasoning mind. And if we're driven by our emotions, then everything that we do, we're going to love to do. But if we're driven by our mind, we're always going to struggle and battle with our work.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree that people should follow their hearts, but I think that also introduces a lot of change for people. And I think people view change in a very negative way, and there's a lot of fear around change. So how would you, in a minute of coaching, what would your advice be to someone who wants to follow their heart but is conflicted because this change also brings up a lot of fear in them? How do people reconcile that?
Step into the fear. Step into it. Don't resist it. Step into the fear. Feel it. Notice it. Ask yourself, is it really as bad as what I thought it was going to be? Because the thing is, fear, as the old saying goes, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Fear restricts us. Fear puts us in a little box where we're scared to step outside it. And most of it is not even real. 95% of things we worry about never even happen. Yeah. So step into that fear and ask yourself, actually, is it as bad as I thought it was going to be? Whatever that is, making a choice, making a decision, step into it and do it. And you'll realize actually there was nothing to fear, nothing to worry about in the first place.
Yes, very, very sage advice for sure, for our listeners. Thank you so much for sharing that. Toby, for people who want to connect with you, where can they find you?
They can find me. My website is tobymaguire.com, TOBYMAGUIRE, not TOBEY, because you'll end up getting links to Spider-Man. And so they can also find me on LinkedIn. Yes. So yeah, those are the best ways to get me, is probably on my website, tobymaguire.com.
That's great. We'll have the links in the show notes too. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate. It's been my pleasure. Really enjoyed listening to your story. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experience with us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to the Leadership Lab. Until next time, keep leading with intention and curiosity. Thank you for spending your time with me today on the Leadership Lab podcast. My hope is that this conversation sparked a new perspective or reinforced something you already knew. Until next time, keep leading with curiosity and intention.